I didn't forget the audio. I was testing to make sure that it was working. I'm just particularly quiet. Welcome to the live stream. So here I've already copied the image with the white and the black. I already had PNG of it, transparency, but here's the new trick that you can do when you're in such a circumstance like this. You getting me right? Well, I hope so. I actually muted the audio from right from the actual live stream video that's playing right now. I got a pop-up window open. Anyway, so what you can do with this type of circumstance, you got white and black. I've got the layering selection, and now I will go to convert brightness to opacity, and this will change all of your whites and grays to particular opacities. Here, I'll click that, and you will instantly have this. There are other methods to going about that, which is in the layer functions themselves. Layer color? No. Monochrome. And then if you go to like the black, just like that, yeah, you got the same thing again. You're not even changing the actual material itself. Isn't that handy? Okay, so since this is actually, I like to preserve what there is, so I'm going to just keep it like this, and not do the previous thing. So those are two little tricks on how to do that. Now the second step that I go about is figuring out what my light source is going to be. And for this attempt, I'm going to put an overhead light source. So this is just planning it out. And I'm going to go and briefly touch where that light is going to hit. Now, I've got a bit there. I've got a bit there. I have a bit there. Usually when you go about things that don't shine too much, try to reserve where the highlights are going to be. So now we've got highlights that go around here. Not the full top. Just like a halo brim sort of thing. Okay, and let's see, I'm going to have more here. A little bit over here. Now this is a lot more flat than this, because the forehead goes kind of straight down like that, whereas items that protrude forward into the picture will be in perpendicular to the light source, so that's going to catch a lot more light. Oh, come on, I selected erase. Boop, 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 boop. So that's that plot. Go. Bit there. Maybe touch there, and we may want a touch there and a touch there. Let's see, a little bit here, and there we go. Now, in opposite to the threshold of shadow, which is somewhat there, this is the highlights that we're working on here first. It's going to be relating to what the surface is like, what's perpendicular to the light. Here, even though there may be a rim that's touching to the light, there won't be much that's actually bouncing back the direct light. So we have some spots there, there. Hair is usually shiny, so that's going to get a lot of good reflections. So, for example, like oily hair, there's going to be a bright shine against that. If it's particularly if it's black oily hair. Boy. So we got that in place now. For the shadow, since this is a drop, shadow here. That's the threshold of where I'm going to be placing the head start. And it's just to start, and because I need that particular line part here. This is still going to be a little bit to the highlights, maybe a dash of that. Just actually a bit more because this arm is extending out. So this part is going to be a lot more perpendicular to the light source. Bit like that. Alright, so we've got not much here. Reflection on nails. And a bit of the palm like such. There. Like that. So this is about a lot of planning. Afterwards, well, you can actually put it underneath if you want. We will do a change of paper color, and we'll change that to a mid-gray. And here we'll change this to this color. Blue? Yeah, blue. Let's go with this light blue here. Let's see. Here. Like that. Bit like that. This is just highlights. Remember that. Okay, and a bit of the tail like that. We've got a bit of that there, a bit of that cloth, a bit of this foot here, and a bit here for that foot. Now, for example, if I were to put a sphere next to this, I put the highlight on it. It's just the dot that's in the closest proximity to the parallel, perpendicular of the light itself. So it's just that little bit, and then shadow comes into effect all around it. And then we've got some bouncing light ambient here like that, and that's going to affect the middle zone. But that's not what we're going to be working with for just this threshold cell shading. Let's get back over here. Blah, 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 blah. Blah. Clear. And do blah. And just add a little bit of highlight. So remember, this is just planning. Now, we're going to add layer for the mid-tone shade, and we're going to come over here, see how that, okay, that's a good mid-tone shade. And we're going to go at what bumps are protruding a lot. And part of what's going on here with the eyes is that we got to remember these eyelids are covering some of the eye. So we're going to have a little bit of shadow here. So here we can be a lot more drastic with the shading. need to get to the threshold. Good. Gotta grab the paint bucket. Refer to other layers. Boom. You go back and continue to work. Let's see here. Paint bucket. Back. So there we go. I will want to put a bit of angle here because of just how the formation of the ears just lobe into there. The shadow itself kind of helps to give a basic highlight, so we know that there's some general light there. There we go. Back to over here. We gotta work cheekbones and this area. The tip of the chin should have a little bit of lighting to it. And this. Refer to other layers. Okay, now we gotta come over here, start that little fill. Bucket, 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 bucket. And over here, bucket. Starting to consider that perhaps the shading on the interior of the eyes need a little bit more, just like that. Okay. Here we have the anterior of the arm, so we gotta get that part. And here, that, there, 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 and there. Boop, 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 boop. Here there will be some shadow. We're gonna play with this tug here as well. There we go. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Something did not get closed. For the other layers, that's correct. Oh, there it is. Alright. Now, over here, there will be shade here, some shade, no. I took a big brush just so I can just slap it in a bit instead. There we go. That should do okay enough there. Here anterior shin, anterior leg. Go. Let's see. This part here. Like that. And a bit like that. Here we have oh yeah, the rest of this tail needs some lighting. So here I'm just gonna go clean that up, fill that up. If you may remember from a previous session of Quick Bucket Erase. And over here. Awesome. So that is a little bit of the planning that goes into some relatively quick cell shading. Now let's see. This seems to be a bit under. And here. Bucket. There we go. Gonna check the chats. No, nothing much to say at the moment. Alright. So that is a little bit on the planning of how some of the coloring usually goes. Now I'm just gonna give him some basic filling. No. Odd. Is there a gap here? Well, there is a 1 pixel gap right there, which is giving me a tiny, tiny issue. Let's just go. Alright. Good. Okay, bucket. Well, apparently it's bigger than that. Oh, there's another one. Oh my god, I missed it. There we go. Bucket. There. Oh, there's a pixel around here somewhere. There it is. More pixels. I am very finicky with these gaps. I can set to close gap, but I'm just that finicky. Let's get here. I just realized I put down the wrong layer. Yep. Beep, beep, beep. There we go. Bucket, boom, 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 face. wrong part. Still? I see. Okay, good. Yeah, and just this one, fill it up, put on background. Okay, filling. Just to get all those little gaps out. Then you can use a bucket just to erase that. Ba-bum, ba-da-bum. Good. Bucket clear. There we go. And then we're going to add the green here. The blue or green, dark. Duk, 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 duk. The orange there. Okay, that's enough. So we have an example. Oh, dang. I forgot to put in a bit of color for those eyes. Normal. Okay, so now that we have these two, we can set this to multiply. Glow dodge. I like glow dodge a lot. There we go. So we have that. And we have that sort of effect. Let's get back to these eyes. So we have this sort of thing going on. Right. Let's get this back to normal and see what we can do. This is going across that. Clear that up for this and that. Okay. Just so that we can get some nice highlight in. And we go normal pen. Just a bit of reflection in there. No, not. Glow dodge, there we go. And this one, back to multiply. So there you have an example for how much highlight to put. It's not about 50% black and 40% highlight. Highlights over here. It's not about. That's not right. This is when it's like so super sunny. Here we have just a bit of the light that's actually just hitting off of the main light source in a very perpendicular manner. You can get that idea from the muzzle. Now check your comments. Kid, still there. And I have just a tip, you know? So here we have some stronger contrast in the eyes. If you want, you can even add just a dab underneath the eyes for just the edgings. If we have a background color, for example, and that's hitting off some more, and it's bouncing back, for example, let's grab a big pen and let's say color dodge. Let's say that the environment is actually a color, such as okay. Alright. So we are going to go back. Change color fill. There we go. Glow dodge. Okay, glow dodge will give me a bit of the color that I want to use. And this is secondary lighting. All the stuff that's bouncing around. And what you can also do is you can set it to some clippings or group clippings. I'm gonna put a little clipping here for, let's get some blue on here. You can color the line art as well this way. This is so super easy. I'm blending. And that gets a bit more fun when you're finishing up all the work. For example, let's just set this to kind of blue like that. Fill out the whole thing. Bam. You've got this for line art now. And contrast in color helps to provide contrast in lighting itself. A lot of times you may not want to go for a black, but opposing tone, opposing hue, a gray instead of color. For example, if I put yellow, a yellow light source, I go down and I pick this color. Now, in contrast, this looks black to this. But it's not necessarily black. Whereas, for example, okay, here's the pink. I'm gonna go here. And back for blue. Gonna go here. Now that's the same saturation color. Boom. Oh. There we go. And over to the green. So it's really just relative to what's in contrast to what you're working with the light. So I may have something of a bluish light maybe I want to change this to be more orange-like. So bucket fill, and then I get that as an effect. Now that doesn't give me a lot of contrast for his general colors, and I would prefer to go with something that will contrast the more major colors. Green is a big major color here, and it fits in and gives a good black contrast. So that's what I've got going on here, and I hope it's giving you an idea about how to work the lighting to illustrate the dimensions of the shapes. There was a period of time when I had difficulty figuring out what to do with the muzzle, and how to work that that little bit to really show the depth of it. And I can just reduce that. And just work all the alpha channel I can out of it. There we go. And you're gonna get some awesome colors like this. And we are talking just straight highlights. Not too much. Just dab it on a bit, because we want to know where the light is coming from. And if we know, like, oh, this tail is cylindrical, so the top is showing what's vertical on directly vertical for a light source. And that's how some of my light planning goes about. Then you can just brush it over. If I go to shade layer, and I can adjust that. So much fun. Just so much fun figuring out how the lighting will turn out and how it's going to improve on the drawing. For example, I don't want to put too much over here. Here will be a lot more vertical. Here will be a bit rounder. And what's going to be sharp? Oh, I should have added some shadow here. Dang. So this is what the phases of cell shading to gradient are like, and I will emphasize a bit more practice in cell shading to really determine how the actual depth, because gradient will give you an idea, but if you can't decide, I'm sorry, let me just try to reword this. Gradients show a lot of the softness of a light, but to pinpoint a light is the trickier part. So cell shading will help you with pointing out the point of contrast, that's your shading layer, and then just a touch of highlights. So it's not a big surface that gets highlighted. It's a much more slim surface. Like, let's see. If we say 50% of a cylinder is shaded, 10% is highlighted. That's the point. Highlights. It's just a little bit, not half the hair. So we will know, like, for example, how shiny this hair by having bright highlight, whereas the clothings themselves will have a much dimmer highlight. It will be a lot more dulled in, like that. And it will show like what surfaces are vertical and what surfaces are horizontal, and that's going to help you a lot with determining the actual shapes of the characters you're working with. One of the exercises I'd done before with Open Canvas, I used to work with a lot of layers, but now I kind of practice using a lot of layers and using little few layers. Some bigger projects can have a lot of layers. Let's see, I will open up Scraps and get to it, because this is now about the only place where a lot of my art files can be found. Next. Okay. That's loaded. Good. When in Open Canvas, one of the features was networking, so you can have an event in which you shared with other people, but there was a limit to how many layers you can actually use. So these here, this bunch of samplings, I'll zoom in a bit closer. This 200 is good. So these samplings were done with just 2 layers. I just paint one and then highlights with the second layer. So this is this character here. And for this example, on this piece I had let me clear that up. Okay. For this piece I had highlights that were there, there, there. It was a very bright type of light source that would be very, very close. And here it would be a little bit farther and a little bit off the edge. Here is like haloed and top, so kind of like bloom. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Kind of like bloom in some MMOs. And this is just very simple background and a bit of underlighting from a bounce card or something. So lighting will tell you how much light there is, how bright the light is, how far the light is, what textures you have. Like I said, for example, in my notes, if this was made of cotton, it won't have a lot of reflection, but if it were made of silk, then you will have a much different effect, and it would be a lot stronger, and you'd have a lot more contrast. Let me get this. That's more what silk would do. There we go. So that's some quick coloring. And quick cell shading. It doesn't have to be perfect for all your shapes. Like for example here, this is just a rough type of shape. I can easily just stretch that down like that if I wanted in preference. And the point is to grasp if you have a good volume popping out from the picture. And that's what coloring should do. It should improve on the line art. Is there any little tricks you're not sure about the tools and stuff like that? I'm gonna check the messages on this little chat room in a minute. Let's see, to review over at least what was done. Here, this layer, you go to layer properties. If you don't have that open, you can always access it through window here. Layer properties, and it'll pop up. It's usually associated with layers themselves. I moved this out because I was working with a bunch of layers at one point. And you don't have to turn on any of these, just change this to monochrome or gray, whichever you preferred. If you have it on grayscale, for example, and this was a blurred picture, let's go ahead and actually we'll put it to color, and we are going to make a copy. We are going to blur it up a bit. Over here, since there's a lot of blacks and stuff here, let's just blur that up a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna go and narrow in on that little spot there. Alright. Now I'm going to change that to gray. Okay, so we have still the white and black. Click on black, and you'll have the alpha channel. I turned off the other one, remember? So we have this going on. And if you want to turn on the overlaying color, you got that sort of effect. Isn't that fun? Monochrome. There we go. Monochrome basically gives you the threshold. If you want to go and practice a little bit of regular sketching, let's put this back to color. And that's actually how I made this piece in particular. I had painted oil paints on I'd done and painted some of the sketching, and I just turned on the threshold to see where things were at. So if there was something I prefer to a little bit sharper around, I'd like use the blur brush or fingertip. Let's use the fingertip. And let's bring it back to color to see how it looks. That's what happens. So it was from doing some basic painting and then setting it to monochrome that I was able to get this black and white picture. And it's kind of evident because of how thick some of the lines are. not vectored or anything like that, just straight painted, set to monochrome. And with monochrome, you can actually adjust the level of the threshold, so the particular shade of gray at which it turns white or turns black can be indicated around there. Same for your alpha, whichever. So that's a little bit of that. Check and see if you got any questions. Alright, let's see questions here. I'll see if images line work for this piece. What type of brush did I use for line art? I have been using the regular oil brush, sets, and I particularly like oil flat paintbrush quite a lot. I'm gonna go over here. Actually, I did some sketchings over here, so I'll turn that back on to normal color. Let's get white right there. Okay. So I really like oil paint flats because I get a brush like this. I'm gonna zoom in on that action. So this kind of brush, and I can adjust how much paint I can have on it. I really like these oil brushes for that, and when you mix in color, I just love this stuff. And how these colors blend in together. Ooh. I love that. So I would have started off with some regular oil painting, and let's just do a quick sketch then. White, fill. Good. Actually, I think I started with a gray. Yeah. And then I did some basic sketching to have his muzzle stick out. Brow. Kind of like that. Then I just work the highlights a bit, kind of figure things out. Let's unclip that. I work with a lot of rough sketchings. Let's turn that into threshold. Just working like that, slowly and slowly. Back to color. So here it's still kind of very gray. But once I have, let's see, blur up those sketch lines, blah, and paint. Let's get back over here. So he's got a hoodie. His sleeves are a bit torn. And right pick. Just slowly work at it. As my husband put, you just go all Rembrandt. I just like doing painting style work approach. Then yeah, so you didn't fiddle with the monochrome layer. It helps a lot to have to be working on the gray tone, because you know that everything that's white, for example, if I put this this has no multiply to it. It's just alpha. Because if I know if I put white, then I won't know how far dark I've gotten. I need to have at least a level of white, for example. What I have here for gray has to become white. So everything that's paler than that goes white. And then I see what level. Because working in gray, you get an opportunity to work with highlights and just plan things out first. That about covers it. I hope you've had some fun, and I hope you got to pick up on a few tidbits. Let's see. Set this to monochrome. There we go. So I hope you had fun, and I hope you make some good use of these simple layer techniques. I don't advise using the same layer for all the different matte flat colors that you have working on, but do start planning out with just one layer for highlight, one layer for shade, and balance it off 10 and 50. Because you gotta have your mid-ground in use somewhere. That's what mid-ground is. It's your average color. Alright, so have yourself a fun time, and I hope to see some future cel shading and coloring work from you. Take care and have yourself an awesome evening.